did not wear pink fur, which is some modern addition or modern rethinking of traditional garments. But pretty much the same. Pretty much the style, the looks, that's how our ladies used to dress up. And, they were probably not necessary, but a very important part of the costume. And another important thing is that our ladies never wore veils. Even when Islam came to our country in early 9th century, so it's a millennia-long history of Islam in Kazakhstan, but still the proud face of our ladies was never covered. So we did not accept that tradition. Besides, here we have part of traditional Kazakh felt, which is quite renowned in the world, particularly the original felts, the Central Asian felt, crucial part of the culture. This is a musical instrument that has only 2 strings, but professional dombra players can perform anything from classical, I don't know, from classical operas to anything you can imagine. Weapons are important too, and the traditional weapons like kalish, this is Kazakh sword, kalkan, shield, and sadak, the shooting stuff, and aybalta. Does it remind you of anything? The form, the looks, tomahawk. Does it look like a tomahawk? It certainly should, because when we came here first, we registered so many similarities between ancient Native American culture and Kazakh culture, in particular, that we were really amazed when we found out so many similarities.
Well, thank you very much for a very eloquent introduction and reminding me of Borat. It's a great pleasure. Actually, whenever I go, and Kazakhs are very talkative and they like going and meeting people and talking to them. When I go, in each and every audience, I start from Borat. And what I say that Borat has done a good job for Kazakhstan, and my mission here is to continue to do what he started to do. He started to enlighten Americans about our part of the world. He has done the job. Well, some people say that he has done a marvelous job, some people think differently. But what I recognize is that he has done some job about promoting Kazakhstan, and the only complaint I have is that he is a clever businessman, obviously. He invested less than $1 million in the whole project and raised more than $100 million. And he didn't share a penny. That was not very fair. But Greg, thank you very much. And folks, thank you very much for being with us. It is a great honor for us to be on your target list. There are many things to do in DC, and we are very privileged that you have chosen to come and be with us tonight. To do things in the Kazakh embassy, in Kazakhstan. You rightly said that this is the soil of Kazakhstan, this is not the soil of the United States, diplomatically speaking. But we have full respect and admiration about this piece of soil of Kazakhstan, because this is a piece of history of America. This building belongs, or one of the occupants of this building was a very outstanding man in the American history, the former Vice President of the United States, General Sherman. At the end of the 19th century, he was residing in this building. Before that, it was owned and built by the widow of media tycoon at the beginning of the 19th century. So we live in the historic building, and we try to preserve the uniqueness of this building. You can see it through the woodwork, etc., etc. And we try to beautify the building further, adding our culture, adding our colors. I hope that you have seen the pride of this embassy, the authentic small Kazakh corner, and that corner will tell you how ancient we are. As an independent country, we are very young. We were part of the former Soviet Union. There were questions here how big we are, what is the size of Kazakhstan. I referred those who asked me to Western Europe. If you are familiar with Western Europe, then you understand the size of Kazakhstan. For those who believe more to Borat, I will tell you that the size of Kazakhstan is 4 or 5 times the size of Texas. So you will understand the size of Kazakhstan. But we are, of course, not newcomers to this world. Our culture and history and civilization is very ancient. We date back from the very, very prehistoric times. The pieces you saw in that room, particularly the golden pieces, we don't have the full exposition on display in the second room of the ancient gold of Kazakhstan, because the bulk of the exhibition is in California. We are going to have an event in Berkeley, in San Francisco in early December. I'm introducing an honorary consul in San Francisco, so we are going to have the event there near Sacramento. And I hope some of you will be able to join us over there. So the bulk of the golden exhibition is there in the West Coast, and that dates back to the 7th century BC. So this is the time, for example, where our ancestors already mastered the techniques of metallurgy of ferrous and non-ferrous metals. Ancient Kazakhs were masters in smelting all kinds of ferrous metals like copper. They made all different kinds of alloys, bronze, etc., etc. And of course, they were great artists in terms of working with the metal. You saw the species of replicas of the ancient gold, and they pertain and go to the so-called animalistic style. This is the pre-Christian and pre-Islamic tradition in Kazakhstan, which is very strong until today. You may notice the colors of Kazakhstan. It's a blue flag. Although we are a Muslim country, by traditional thought we are a Muslim country, so traditionally we should have a green flag, the color of Islam. But we carry the blue flag. In the center of the blue flag we have a golden sun, and underneath the sun we have a free-flying eagle. These are the ancient symbols of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, as I said, comes from ancient history and our ancestors, including Attila the Hun. You heard that Attila the Hun. So maybe in Western Europe people do not like Attila the Hun, but we are proud of him. He's our great ancestor, and he really influenced the evolution and great changes in Europe. And Attila the Hun was, by the way, one of the contributors to the collapse of the already ruining Roman Empire. And that has encouraged the further growth and evolution within Europe, and emergence of different other nations, etc., etc. So, if you let me speak, I will speak for hours and hours. One thing you should know about Kazakhs is that we come from the oral culture. Our culture is, particularly oral culture, is very strong. We survive on legends. We cherish legends. We cherish nice stories, and therefore, when I go to any audiences, I tell them that I'm Kazakh and we are from oral culture. Therefore, they should stop me because I can talk incessantly. Because I'm so proud of my country, because I'm in such a love with my country that I can talk hours and hours about the beauties of our nature, about the depth of our history, about the diversity of our culture. Kazakhstan is also at the crossroads of different movements of people. Very much like the United States, Kazakhstan is the melting pot. We have more than 100 ethnic groups in Kazakhstan, and we have more than 40 people representing more than 40 religious denominations. We have Muslims, we have Christians of all shades. We have Jews, we have Buddhists, and we have Krishnites, etc., etc. So this is a very diverse society, and ethnically we are very diverse, and this is one commonality which strikes anyone who visits Kazakhstan and the United States. Kazakhstan is a modern state. We have been able to achieve many things in a short period of our young, recently obtained independence. The 20th century was the period of us being part of the former Soviet Union. You heard a lot about the former Soviet Union because that was the the evil force, and through the textbooks at schools and universities you may have heard a lot about the evil empire, but we were part of that evil empire, and this is part of our history, and this is where our parents come from. Therefore, we do not want to paint black our history. We take it as it is, and of course there were lots of shortcomings, particularly when it comes to Kazakhstan. So many ugly social experiments have been carried out on our territory. The Gulag system, the collectivization through which, for example, more than 2 million ethnic Kazakhs died. They all happened in Kazakhstan. The ugly nuclear testing, this also happened in Kazakhstan. But fortunately, we also had bright pages in our history. Yuri Gagarin, the first cosmonaut, was ventured into the outer space from Kazakhstan, from the space base in Kazakhstan. Although I learned, we had recently in Columbia University 2 days ago, our famous poet who wrote a famous poem, "The earth do bow down to a man, when the Yuri Gagarin flew into space in 1961, and he came and he was touring around the world with his poem. He was surprised to learn that in American textbooks, in America people know very little about Gagarin, and they believe that the first man who went into space was from America, where in fact it is not true. So the history of Kazakhstan, both ancient and modern, is very diverse and vast. While recognizing and respecting the diversity of our history, diversity of our past, diversity of our culture, we also would like to cherish our future. We have very ambitious plans. Kazakhstan is maybe a success story of the splits of the former Soviet Union. We are successful economically, we are successful politically and socially. Not a single drop of blood was shed in the years of independence in Kazakhstan on ethnic or religious grounds, although we were surrounded by hotbeds all around Kazakhstan: Chechnya, Afghanistan, smaller Central Asian countries, Western China, etc., etc. We managed to focus ourselves on the growth. We managed to focus ourselves on the well-being of people. There are lots of misperceptions about Kazakhstan. One is that we are a dictatorship, that we do not like democracy, etc., etc. I invite you to visit Kazakhstan and see for yourselves what type of a society we are. I particularly like Greg Violetta. I was very pleased to learn that there was an evolution within DC here from a club. What was the name of the club?
It's got decades.
Decades. Then it went into the young professionals. Now it is TTD. Things to do in DC. And I particularly liked that you welcome smiles and open hearts between your members. So this is exactly what we have in Kazakhstan. We like people smiling. We like people being open to each other. We like people trying to understand each other, engaging with each other. I also like that you like to travel. Therefore, I like the raised hands of this audience when you asked about who wants to go to Kazakhstan. You're most welcome. Someone asked me already about the visas to Kazakhstan. Our visa regime is one of the liberal regimes, so it's a very quick and fast and problem-free service. Unlike, by the way, I also answered to a gentleman that if you compare, for example, the American visa process, in us it's sky and earth. You know. Therefore, you are most welcome to Kazakhstan. We have provided to you some books, some literature about Kazakhstan. Please do read it, particularly those who were able to catch the Apples from Kazakhstan book. That's a very fascinating read by a British author who about 6 or 7 years ago was marveled by the fact that he didn't know anything about Kazakhstan. Being an educated Western intellectual, he discovered that he knew nothing about Kazakhstan, and that was a great surprise for him. He was traveling from London to Moscow, and he was sitting near to the guy from Arkansas, and that Arkansas guy was traveling in the Moscow direction, and the British guy, of course, asked, "Where you travel?" He said, "Kazakhstan." And Chris Roberts, the author's name, he, of course, didn't know anything about Kazakhstan, and he was very much surprised by the fact. He titled his book in London. It was published 5 or 6 years ago in Britain under the title "In Search of Kazakhstan, the Land Which Disappeared." The book became so successful that it was published here in New York 3 or 2 years ago under the title "Apples Are from Kazakhstan." This is a proven biological fact. Indeed, apples do originate from the mountains of Kazakhstan, in the south of Kazakhstan. That was proved by Soviet biologists, and for those who didn't believe Soviet biologists, it was recently proved by the Oxford biologists. So it is an ideologically clean concept, that apples originate from Kazakhstan. As do, by the way, the Pans. Kazakhs being the nomads, they have mastered the first domestication of horse happened in Kazakhstan almost more than 5,000 years ago, and it happened in northern Kazakhstan. And by invading a stirrup, Kazakhs were able to cover 400 kilometers a day with the additional horses on lead. That allowed our ancestors to keep such a huge territory for us. I didn't mention to you the population of Kazakhstan. It's only 16 million people today, less than Greater New York. So can you imagine that small population living on the territory of the entire 4 or 5 times of Texas? So this is what we inherited, and again, I'm Kazakh. I'm talking. Greg, I like your company. I like your spirit. It is exactly the spirit of Kazakhstan. I like the age colors of your TTD because Kazakhstan is also a very young nation. Our government, for example, average age of our government is between 30s and 40s. So actually, we can add the government of Kazakhstan to TTD. I will make such a proposal. And I would hope that we'll have more opportunities to engage with each other. Please do stick with us. We have colleagues here. I invited my colleagues from the consular department. Of course, he will have a headache working on your applications to go to Kazakhstan. But please mingle with our colleagues from the economic section, from the political section, from the press section. I'm at your disposal. Visit our website. Through that website, you will see many other links to Kazakhstan. I have my own blog. If you want to read some boring stuff, boring ambassadorial lies, please go to my blog. I welcome you once again to the embassy. I welcome you not to the embassy, to Kazakhstan, to new culture, to new part of the world. Please explore. Please go beyond Borat. Borat is a great guy, but be better than Borat. No more than Borat. And of course, I want to thank Greg, you for having this idea. Let's have more get-togethers. By the way, pencil down the date in your calendars. You will be able. Today we will see from the Silk Road group some elements of Kazakh folk dance or our part of the world folk dance. But Kazakhstan, of course, has diversity of culture. On the 20th of November, in a few days, we'll have a big concert in Kennedy Center by young musicians from our conservatory. 100 of them come to Washington, D.C. They will tour. They will be in Boston, Los Angeles, Kennedy Hall, Kennedy Center, Carnegie Hall. So on the 20th of November, go to the website of the Kennedy Center, and you will see information on that. You're most welcome. You will see the other side of Kazakhstan. Many people confuse stans with so many dangers. I remember when I was in London 7 years ago, BBC team came to me asking for my advice. They wanted to shoot a film about Kazakhstan and our part of the world. Of course, we went out of our bodies to help them. And eventually they came up with a product. They called the film Meet the Stans. danger zone. And you will marvel, you will laugh. The film started with the first piece, which was on Kazakhstan, and the kind of coverage was of the vast grasslands of Kazakhstan and the accompanying music. They thought that it was Kazakh music, but it was really a Russian folk music. So that was a great confusion, of course, when I explained to them that this is a very low journalism. They didn't understand me. So I think that with time, people will know more and more about us. It is not your fault that you didn't know a lot about our part of the world, because we were behind the curtain for more than 300 years. That is a fact, and jointly we have to address this fact and help each other in doing away with these distortions. Therefore, parties like this, meetings like this are very useful, mutually useful. We learn from you, and you learn from us. That's the spirit of the TTD. We like the spirit, and I believe that we should add two abbreviations to TTD. Let us call this TTD-KZ, right? So to TTD-KZ. Thank you very much.